Tesla could have a serious problem during a recession, at least according to a Seeking Alpha analyst that just recently wrote an article on them. So in this video, we'll cover exactly what the analyst is seeing as far as problems that could arise in the midst of a recession for Tesla, which is important since we might be on our way into a recession. And then I'll give you my take on what I feel like could happen with Tesla, even in the event that we go into a recession. Also, if you would like to read the article yourself, I will make sure to leave a link down in the description below, so that way you can follow the link and actually check this article out on your own as well. So basically in this article, the analyst basically sets the stage by kind of painting a picture of what's going on wrong with Tesla right now, between the factory ramp issues that we're having over in Austin, Texas, and Berlin, and then on top of that with what's going on over in Shanghai with COVID lockdowns. He mentions that right now these gigafactories, even as Elon has said in the past, are burning billions of dollars up just trying to ramp up the scale. On top of this, the author talks multiple times about the supply chain issues going on in the world and talking about how those are impacting their ability to actually produce the orders that they are getting on vehicles currently. Basically, he summarizes this by saying that the Austin ramp and the Shanghai getting up to a full-scale 1 million vehicles per year production really lies on the back of supply chain constraints. And then on top of this, he mentions that it's going to cost them probably 1 to 2 years, if not billions of dollars in the meantime, to try and get these factories up and rolling. So after he paints this shadowy picture on Tesla without even mentioning a speck of anything positive that's happening over at the company, he goes right into talking about this doomsday scenario that's going to happen at Tesla this year, based on information from 2008. Basically, his scenario rests on the back of information from 2008 in the last financial crisis, when luxury car brands started to see a fall of about 35% in revenues from decreased demand. From there, he continues to paint the picture, talking that if Tesla's revenue were to shrink by 35%, but the fixed costs obviously are going to stay the same, we would see a drastic effect on Tesla's bottom line or net margin to the tune of only seeing about 20% of what we make today. And if this wasn't already enough to get you so scared that you're shaking out of your seat just about to hit the sell button, then he also mentions that Tesla is actually just a one-trick pony, and that the only thing it has going for it is basically just its automotive sector, because, you know, the energy sector, the things that it's working on with its full self-driving, its robo-taxi potential network, Tesla insurance, Tesla services, all these other things, they don't matter. They're not important. They're obviously not adding any value to this company, which, to be fair, and to his point, it is true that most of Tesla's revenue, over 95% of Tesla's revenue, does come from the automotive sector of their business. But I do think it's weird to totally just throw these out of the window and say that they're not going to help the company in any valuation metric whatsoever. He does go on to mention that basically he does see their energy storage business being something that could be fruitful for them, but not to a tune of anything substantial, only adding to about $700 million to the bottom line for net margins every year. And now that you're already so scared that you've sold half of your Tesla position and you're crying in a fetal position in your chair, then he goes on to explain that VW is supposed to overtake Tesla in EV sales by the year 2025, and that many competitors in the automotive sector are also going to be getting close to Tesla, or at least 50% of Tesla at that same time. So should we genuinely be worried about Tesla going into a possible recession here at the US? Well, let me tell you what I expect. So the first thing I want to address is that Tesla, in my opinion, really isn't so much of a luxury car brand. I mean, we call it a luxury car brand because some of the cars are a little bit more expensive, like the S and the X, but in reality, the Model 3 and the Model Y really aren't that expensive compared to the average new car price in America, which right now is sitting at $47,000. So why does it matter that the average new car price in America is $47,000? Because we can start to run some numbers with this against an actual Tesla, right? So say that you bought a Tesla Model 3 for $50,000, okay? So I'm giving you some wiggle room so you can upgrade something. Maybe you want some different paint, maybe you want a couple different options, right? So $50,000 Tesla versus a $47,000, you know, average new car in America. Well, first thing that we have to talk about right now, of course, is our wonderful energy inflation that we've been experiencing, to where you're going to spend about $200 on the gas vehicle per month in gasoline, and I think that's pretty conservative if you're buying one of these newer vehicles, right? Whereas with a Tesla, even if you're charging it off the grid at home and you're not using solar or different things like that, on average, Tesla owners usually spend around $50 a month to charge their vehicle. After this, we have to tackle maintenance, you know, your oil, your brakes, your tire changes, your suspensions things, different things like that. So on average, a new car is going to cost you about $98 a month for a conventional ICE combustion engine vehicle, whereas a Tesla is only going to be costing you around $24 per month. So again, some more substantial savings. Once we add in our financing amount for actually how much it costs per month to finance the car, and for these numbers, I use 60 months at 4.5% with $5,000 down on each of these vehicles, again, one being a $50,000 Model 3 and one being the average $47,000 car. Then we can add in the monthly payment that we would pay to our financier every month as well. And once all this has been done, we can come to the bottom line looking at how much the total monthly cost of ownership is on one of these vehicles. A Tesla, for example, would be about $911 per month to own with these numbers that I've just given to you, whereas your standard average, cheaper, mind you, $47,000 US economy car would be somewhere around $1,081 per month. So once you actually broaden that out and take a look at what a real 5-year cost of ownership is when you compare the Tesla to an average US vehicle, then you're actually going to be saving about $10,170 over the course of 5 years by buying the Tesla over the standard economy car in the United States. So when you start to think about all this, is Tesla really a luxury brand? In my opinion, not so much. On top of this, when you add that 52% of new car buyers are now looking for EVs over standard internal combustion engines, I think that we can obviously see that there's a big shift in demand for EVs where there's not a lot of competition yet. And that competition that there is against Tesla, well, if you want something comparable to what a Model 3 or a Model Y is going to give you as far as performance for an EV, you're going to be spending right around the same amount of money as you would for a Tesla. But arguably, none of them give you that true Tesla experience or access to the largest charging station network in America. Plus, on top of this, Tesla just has this Apple effect, if you will, where everybody that touches a Tesla and gets to drive and experience a Tesla, or at least most people that do, they wind up going, man, I love this car and I never want to go back to anything besides Tesla. In my opinion, Tesla has an amazing user interface in their vehicles that is uncomparable to any other vehicle on the market. So to me, calling the brand specifically a luxury brand isn't super true. It is an EV company that has a luxury EV segment within itself, which only represents, by the way, about 2% of its sales. So the luxury car brand argument aside, still, what if things were to slow down 35% in the luxury car space and Tesla was affected by this, even to the tune of around 35%? So just like I've mentioned in other recent videos, Tesla has a backlog of orders right now, which can also work in a way as a backstop, especially going into something like a recession, where we might start to see orders slow down for the company. The reason I say this is because the company is so dang backed up that if you want a Model 3, you might wait till January of next year to get it. If you want a Model Y, you might wait until April of next year. A Model S, you might be waiting till February, and a Model X all the way out till June, so a whole year from now. So what does all this backlog mean for the company? It means that if orders stop coming in as fast, they have lots of work already built in that they can keep on producing vehicles through. So it's going to be able to hold their EPS figures up, allowing them to still hit these analyst targets and allowing them to still potentially hit the growth estimates that we're expecting to see over at Tesla. And I've only just mentioned the 4 main models, right, that we have out today. We're not even talking about the Cybertruck, the Roadster, the Semi, right? I mean, think about the Cybertruck on its own for a second. We have over 3 million pre-orders or pre-reservations for this Cybertruck, and they're supposed to be starting production on this vehicle next year. Elon himself has mentioned that if they were to start production on Cybertruck, they have enough orders that they would be busy trying to produce all these vehicles for 2 years alone, just on the Cybertruck itself. So to me, Tesla is in a very unique scenario, especially comparing it to other automakers out there that do not have this type of backlog and this type of reservations on upcoming vehicles that they can expect to have. I mean, yeah, some of these orders and some of these reservations, they will obviously be canceled, right? Because if times do slow down and people are trying to cut back on spend, people are naturally going to cancel some of their orders. But still, even if we were to cancel half of the Cybertruck reservations, or 20% or 25%, or even half of the Model Y, 3, SX, any of those, we still have a good amount of backlog to where I see Tesla still being able to hit those EPS targets throughout the end of this year and into next year and beyond, even when we include the Cybertruck, Roadster, and Semi. To add to this, I do kind of agree with this argument that the solar programs and some of the other things that Tesla is doing are definitely not contributing a lot to their revenue right now. But the truth of the matter is that these businesses are in their infancy, just like their car business was many, many years ago. And as we've seen with Tesla on its other products, they have a great ability to scale. Now, to address Volkswagen's overtake of Tesla on production by 2024, well, here's the truth, guys. Tesla and Volkswagen by that time period are looking to be very close to each other in the amount of cars produced. But going back to some of my other points later, I do not think that Volkswagen is going to have that amazing UI, that amazing Apple effect that Tesla has secured. So even if Volkswagen Group does start to overtake them on production, I don't think they're going to be having the Apple effect, and I definitely don't think that their full self-driving is going to be anywhere near the capabilities of Tesla by that point. With all this being said, and even considering what's happening in Shanghai right now with COVID lockdowns and their inability to produce vehicles in the Shanghai plant, I still am very optimistic on Tesla for the long run and even for the rest of this year. Even as of right now, I still think that Tesla has the ability to produce 1.4 million vehicles vehicles in 2022 alone, and I still expect the stock price to be over $1,000 by the end of this year using my current valuation model on the company. Not trying to say that things can't change, because they definitely always can, but as of right now, I think things look relatively good for Tesla, and I think it's a relatively safe bet on growth. As investors, it's always super important to remember that there are risks associated with any company out there on the stock market. Tesla is not an exception, but it is always important to actually address these issues or address these possible things that could come up and actually look at them from a different perspective rather than just taking it for what the author is saying. Anyway guys, if you found some value in this free content today, please do me the favor of hitting that subscribe button down below, and also hit the like button as it does help this video find more people. Once again, thank you all so much for tuning in, and until next time.